Hey, what's going on there, YouTube? This is SEL0320 representing JVS. Back here again for another review for The Walking Dead. This is the 9th episode of the 7th season, Rock in the Road. Interesting pun that Rick brings up mid-conversation with Ezekiel. So, to me, this episode was more so world merging, world building, in the sense of all these different factions. You got the Hilltop, you got Rick's faction with the Alexandria, you got, the Saviors, of course. But then on top of that, you got the Kingdom, and then some other factions that we don't know about. And a lot of those were explored in this one exact episode. They spent, I guess, the episode was about an hour, maybe 15 to 20 minutes long. I'll say this. The episode, up until a certain point, was really kind of like just dialogue and conversations, and it really wasn't all that interesting. I mean, I think specifically when they went to Hilltop, sitting there talking to Gregory, I was like, if this was the old group, they would have just killed Gregory and just, recruited people. But it looks like slowly but surely, they are cultivating the arms that they need, to fight. And they're not there yet. They don't have any weapons. But, of course, I know where they're going to get that. Tara should know where they should get those. And then they went initially to the Kingdom. And, oh, my gosh, the group witnessing Ezekiel and, saying, like, his Tiger and Jerry and all them. It was very awesome dialogue, specifically when Morgan kind of like interjected his thought process. Now, I didn't respect Morgan for when Ezekiel asked him, "What say you, Morgan?" and his answer. I was like, didn't you just next have a conversation about, like, I had to do this to protect her? Like, that's the situation. Like, how are you going to... Like, he's been witnessing what the Kingdoms had to go through with this, So, I don't know. I mean... I'm kind of like, Morgan, you got to get with the picture with this one, man. Like, it's like you could have been, the other side of it. And not just that, I think even Ezekiel is still dealing with a lot of fear because his decision, it didn't make sense based on every evidence that he has. Now, I am glad what he's going to do with the whole Daryl situation. I'm happy about that. But I think that the highlight of this episode for me was when they were trying to disarm the dynamite on the road. That was an amazing CGI practical effects sequence, and I was like floored. In my reaction, you'll see me like literally giddy with excitement of how they actually even did that. But in terms of like real fear and feeling of fear, really this episode I didn't feel anything like necessarily. I think that the sequence when they were on the road was probably the moment where I felt the most impact, because after that then they went back home just for the Saviors to meet them right at the doors all over again. I think the biggest mystery is Father Gabriel. It's like why and what motivated him to do what he was doing, and I feel like it has something to do with the person that really came from the boat location that found him. I have a theory who it is, but I don't want to say what the group is just based on the comics, because I think it's going to be an interesting turning of the tide, specifically looking at Rick and how he just smirked. He's like, aha. So I give this episode maybe an 8 or 8.5 out of 10. I'll probably stick with more of an 8 because it was really only one section that kind of like had me going, but it still was a really good world building episode, and a lot of paths needed to be crossed. And I think the dialogue with Rick and Ezekiel when he was, first introduced to Ezekiel, I think that was a really strong case that Rick built for it, specifically about the story of the rock and the road and the girl. I thought that was really awesome. But anyway, hopefully y'all enjoy this review. I'll have as soon as I can my reaction to it. Keep it locked. JVS, we ain't gonna stop. Peace, everybody.